The United States Capitol has been plunged into a political and constitutional storm of historic proportions. In an unprecedented moment that will be studied and debated for decades to come, the Senate voted 68-32 to convict the president, effectively removing him from office. The result marks only the third time in American history that a sitting president has been removed through the impeachment process. But what makes this moment extraordinary is not just the conviction itself. It is the president's outright refusal to accept the verdict. As the final votes were tallied, the chamber erupted in a mixture of shock, relief, and disbelief. Senators, some solemn, others visibly emotional, stood to cast their votes. The conviction, supported by a significant bipartisan majority, underscores the gravity of the charges, which have been debated and dissected over the past several months. For many Americans, the vote represents a triumph of accountability and the resilience of democratic institutions. For others, it is a source of deep anger, a fracture in an already polarized nation. Outside the Senate chamber, the atmosphere was electric. Crowds gathered, holding signs, waving flags, some chanting in celebration, others in protest. Reporters scrambled to capture every reaction, every nuanced expression, as the reality of the moment sank in. Security was heightened given the magnitude of the proceedings, and law enforcement prepared for demonstrations that could range from peaceful vigils to civil unrest. Inside, the president's defense team had worked tirelessly in the days leading up to the vote, presenting arguments intended to sway wavering senators and appeal to constitutional principles. They argued that the charges were politically motivated, that the impeachment process itself was rushed and lacked fairness, and that convicting a president under these circumstances could set a dangerous precedent. Yet, despite these appeals, the evidence presented over weeks of hearings, witness testimony, and an exhaustive review of documents proved decisive. The bipartisan majority of 68 votes made clear that, in the eyes of the Senate, the president had violated his oath and the trust of the American people. Immediately following the announcement, the president released a statement refusing to acknowledge the legitimacy of the Senate's decision. In a direct, defiant tone, he described the proceedings as a political witch hunt, claiming the entire process was rigged against him. Supporters across the nation echoed his sentiment, taking to social media and organizing rallies to contest the outcome. Meanwhile, constitutional scholars, former presidents, and members of the judiciary weighed in, emphasizing that the Senate's verdict is final and cannot be overturned by any unilateral action. This confrontation between the executive branch and Congress has brought to light fundamental questions about the balance of power in America. What happens when a president refuses to accept a legal and constitutional ruling? How do the institutions of government respond when the leader of the nation challenges the very authority of the body that holds him accountable? These are not hypothetical scenarios. They are unfolding in real time, demanding attention and careful scrutiny. In the hours following the vote, the nation witnessed an extraordinary scene. The vice president and congressional leaders prepared for the orderly transition of power, anticipating the president's formal removal. Yet the absence of voluntary cooperation from the president created a tension that had no modern precedent. Federal agencies, including the Secret Service and the Department of Justice, were called upon to ensure the transition remained lawful and peaceful. Statements from officials were measured but firm, emphasizing that the Constitution is clear, the president has been removed, and the mechanisms to enforce this outcome are in place. Internationally, the reaction was immediate and intense. Allies and adversaries alike watched closely, interpreting the conviction as both a testament to American democratic resilience and a sign of internal political turmoil. World leaders expressed cautious optimism that the country would navigate the crisis without descending into chaos, but analysts warned that the refusal of the president to accept the verdict could embolden fringe movements and fuel political unrest. Markets reacted nervously, with stock prices fluctuating and analysts projecting potential economic implications as the situation evolved. The conviction itself was the culmination of a meticulous legal and investigative process. Witnesses testified about actions and decisions that, according to prosecutors, violated the president's constitutional duties. Documents, communications, and internal records painted a picture of deliberate misconduct, each piece reinforcing the argument that the president had acted outside the law. Senators spent hours reviewing evidence, listening to arguments from both sides, and grappling with the profound implications of their vote. The result, a decisive 68-32 majority, reflects the weight of this evidence and the determination of lawmakers to uphold the Constitution above party allegiance. For the American public, reactions have been mixed, intense, and deeply emotional. Across the country, families, workplaces, and communities debated the meaning of the Senate's decision. Some celebrated what they saw as justice finally served, a reaffirmation that no one, not even the president, is above the law. Others expressed fear, uncertainty, and anger, worried that the removal of the president, combined with his refusal to concede, could push the nation toward deeper divisions. Social media became a battlefield of narratives, each side presenting its version of truth, often with little room for compromise or dialogue. Legal experts have been vocal in explaining the consequences of the president's refusal to accept the verdict. While the conviction itself is final and legally binding, the president's public denouncement challenges norms of political behavior. Experts stress that the Constitution provides mechanisms for accountability, including the ability of Congress and the judiciary to enforce lawful orders. Yet the situation raises profound questions about civic responsibility, public trust, and the resilience of democratic institutions in the face of defiance from the highest office in the land. The vice president, now constitutionally empowered to act in the absence of the president, has signaled a commitment to uphold the law and ensure the continuity of government. Transition teams are coordinating with cabinet members, federal agencies, and state officials to maintain stability. The focus is on governance, on safeguarding the functions of the state, and on reassuring a public shaken by the political crisis. Every statement, every action is being carefully calculated to maintain legitimacy and demonstrate that the machinery of democracy continues to function. Meanwhile, the president's supporters have mobilized, planning rallies, issuing statements, and spreading their perspective far and wide. They frame the removal as a partisan attack, a distortion of justice, and a dangerous overreach by lawmakers. The polarization in the country, already intense, has been magnified, creating a tense environment in which civil discourse is increasingly fragile. Observers warn that this period could define a generation, shaping perceptions of governance, accountability, and civic engagement for years to come. In the halls of Congress, discussions now turn to the future. Lawmakers are considering additional measures to reinforce the Constitution, prevent similar crises, and ensure that the transition of power remains orderly. Committees are convening, legal scholars are being consulted, and strategies are being devised to protect institutions while addressing the immediate fallout of the president's refusal to step aside. The challenge is unprecedented, balancing legal authority, political realities, and public perception in a nation deeply divided over the very legitimacy of its leadership. The Senate's vote, though decisive, is only one chapter in an ongoing saga that has captivated the nation. The impeachment trial itself brought to light questions of accountability, ethics, and the nature of presidential power. Public hearings, testimony, and media coverage provided an unflinching look at the inner workings of government, exposing decisions, mistakes, and actions that have long been shielded from public scrutiny. The conviction is the legal endpoint of this process, but the social, political, and emotional consequences will continue to reverberate. For historians, the events of this day represent a watershed moment. The combination of a bipartisan conviction and a president refusing to accept it creates a scenario that is virtually unparalleled in modern democratic history. Comparisons are being drawn to other nations and historical crises, but the uniquely American constitutional framework provides both a structure for resolution and a mirror reflecting the tensions inherent in a deeply divided polity. How the country navigates this moment will likely influence political culture, institutional trust, and public engagement for generations. As night falls across Washington, D.C., the Capitol building stands illuminated, a symbol of continuity and resilience amid turmoil. Inside, the chambers are quiet, the echoes of debate and votes lingering in the air. Outside, the city remains tense but vigilant, with demonstrators and supporters alike keeping watch, their voices a testament to the passion and conviction of an engaged citizenry. The nation, suspended between legal authority and political defiance, watches and waits, uncertain of the days to come but aware of the historical weight of the moment. In homes across the country, families discuss what the conviction means, what the president's refusal signifies, and what the future holds. The questions are urgent and deeply personal. Can democracy endure when its highest leaders challenge its authority? How can Americans reconcile justice, law, and loyalty in a nation split by ideology and belief? The answers are not simple, and the consequences will unfold in real time, testing institutions, norms, and the very character of the nation. In the coming days, legal teams will continue to navigate uncharted waters. Federal agencies will enforce the transition, and lawmakers will work to ensure continuity. Public opinion will continue to fluctuate, influenced by statements from leaders, media coverage, and personal experience. The president's refusal to accept the verdict will remain a central focus, a dramatic reminder that the law, while clear, often requires vigilance, courage, and collective commitment to enforce. This historic moment, defined by a decisive Senate vote and a defiant president, is both a crisis and a testament. It is a crisis in that it challenges assumptions about power, obedience, and the limits of authority. It is a testament in that, despite political divisions and intense pressures, constitutional mechanisms have functioned as intended, producing a lawful outcome that reflects the principles upon which the nation was founded. As the nation grapples with the implications, one truth is undeniable: this day will not be forgotten. The images of senators casting votes, the voices of citizens reacting, and the defiant words of the president rejecting the verdict will be etched into the collective memory of the United States. For scholars, lawmakers, and citizens alike, it will serve as a powerful reminder of both the fragility and the resilience of democracy. The Senate's conviction of the president, combined with his refusal to accept the outcome, marks a turning point. It is a story of accountability and defiance, of law and politics, of history being written before the eyes of the world. As Americans continue to debate, protest, and reflect, the central question remains: can a nation withstand the tension between constitutional authority and political will? The answer, though uncertain, will be shaped by the actions of leaders, the vigilance of institutions, and the engagement of a public committed to preserving the ideals upon which their country was founded. Tonight, the United States stands at a crossroads, facing both profound challenge and historic opportunity. The conviction is final, the refusal is real, and the path forward, while uncharted, is now the responsibility of every citizen, every leader, and every institution dedicated to ensuring that democracy not only survives, but thrives. History has its eyes on this moment. The consequences will echo for years, shaping politics, governance, and public trust. Yet amid uncertainty and division, the enduring truth remains. The nation's constitutional framework has acted, the rule of law has prevailed, and the story of accountability, courage, and defiance continues to unfold before the world.